Welcome in tonight, guys. This is Belly Up Fantasy Live. I'm your host, Chris Pinto. With me tonight, the Belly Up Fantasy crew. Guys, we got Ryan, Tom, we got Nate. Y'all have seen him before on our mocks, man, and brand new to streaming with us at Belly Up, Billy Witt. Billy, how are you doing tonight, brother?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Man, glad to have you, gentlemen. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We've got the NFC South, probably one of the biggest divisions in the league for fantasy scoring wise. Houston couldn't be with us tonight. He's helping us out from the backstage. That's great. Thank you so much, Houston. But he was so adamant about this division, and I am too, just listening to him and Ryan go back and forth about it. It's going to be crazy. This is where you're going to pick up a lot of your fantasy football relevant players. Along with that, though, tonight, man, we have a new guest that I wasn't prepared for. The guys weren't really prepared for, but it just kind of seemed to fall in line with everything that's going on right now in the fantasy community. We've got Dave Wright coming on with us. He is a big proponent of the Scott Fish Bowl Podathon, 24-hour Podathon, which Belly Up Fantasy is a sponsor of, guys. We sent in our live read. We sent in everything. Dave's been working with me back and forth, getting everything fine-tuned so we can be part of this Podathon that is 24 hours, having the biggest names in fantasy football, talking fantasy football for 24 hours, kicking off the fantasy football season. It's going to be really cool, really nice. Everyone who's watching us, thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes, the retweets, everything. The fantasy football community is so awesome, so supportive. But we want to support our own guys. You know, we are company men here at Belly Up Sports and Belly Up Fantasy. So if you like what we're doing on our stream, go follow the rest of the Belly Up Sports Talk lineup, #bust. See what you're missing out, guys. We got last minute of play. We got puck pass with our own Zach Mack, who could not be here. And Corner Booth Podcast, who had a great podcast. Around for the weekend on Friday, who had a great show, who was live at 4:30. A few of us jumped on there and saw it. Ryan gave us a big shout out. Thank you so much, Ryan. And then a World Without Sports is going to kick off here pretty soon. Use the #bust, like I said. See what you're missing with the Belly Up Fantasy crew and Belly Up Sports Talk. Guys, let's jump into a little bit of chit-chat, some stuff that's been going on. Let's touch on something that has happened that everyone pretty much knows about, but I don't know if we've talked about because we already passed the AFC division that he was brought into. Cam Newton, Super Bowl MVP, now with a brand new offensive system, brand new coach, brand new players. Ryan, what's your take on Cam Newton? How do you feel like he's going to fare with the New England Patriots?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I did an article about this when the signing happened. McDaniels drafted Tebow. I mean, Cam is like a super Tebow. They're going to change the offense up a little bit for him. I mean, he's not been the most accurate quarterback in his career, but he is an athlete. We'll see how well his body holds up this year, but I think Belichick's probably feeling like he wants to prove that he can do it without Brady, and that's why I do think Cam's going to be starting for them this year. Also, shout out to JT. You look handsome too, man.
Nate, man, know you're a big New York Giants fan.
Yes, sir.
So there's got to be some animosity with Cam coming to the Patriots in Foxborough.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense for the Patriots, but as a enemy of the Pats, not the most happy. But fantasy-wise, for Edelman, Harry, James White, this is a big upgrade for them just because they're getting a experienced quarterback who is definitely better than Stidham, because when we saw Stidham for a very brief time against the Jets, he kind of made some mistakes. So I think Newton definitely helps the Patriots out. I think he has a pretty good season. And like Ryan said, I think Belichick wants to prove that he's not, Brady's little sidekick. He's the mastermind behind all of the madness the last 15 years.
For sure. Billy Witt, man, first time analyzing something for Belly Up. Make it good, brother. What do you think about Cam in New England?
Honestly, I think he's in for a big year. I don't see why not. Good coaching. They're going to put him in a position to do what he does best. They're going to run the ball. They've got a ton of backs to help him. For me, this puts James White top 30 PPR-wise. I mean, we saw what he did with Christian McCaffrey. No reason to think that James White won't follow suit, catching balls out of the backfield. Small upgrades for receivers, but I think Cam might be in for something, maybe not huge numbers, but more efficient play than we've seen in the past.
Tom, our resident Eagles fan, what you got?
I'll tell you what. I'm kind of on the opposite end from Billy here. I'm not as big on Cam, just gonna be honest. I grew up in the Carolinas, so I watched him, his whole time in Carolina there. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. I'm not entirely sold that he's a day one starter with them. I don't think that it's guaranteed that he'll start over Stidham. It's tough to say that you draft that guy and he's just going to sit behind Brady, now Cam, and we'll see what happens. Even if he is a day one starter, though, I'm 20 or lower on my rankings, kind of going into the season at least. Just as I kind of see this being a run-heavy team. I mean, you have James White, you have Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead, Damian Harris. It's a deep backfield. Their receivers, obviously, Julian Edelman's good. Mohamed Sanu, solid, but they don't have a breakout receiver, and they never did with Brady. But I think that Brady made more out of Bless at receiver than Cam Newton has the ability to. So again, even at a day one starter, to me, he's 20 or lower as far as quarterback rankings go.
Yeah, I have him 22.
I got him 27, I believe.
Chris, you're muted.
You're muted. Chris, you're muted.
That's so fun, isn't it? Hear my mess up. Okay, so I wanted to thank Billy for bringing up the backfield in New England. I don't have Cam ranked just yet. I don't know where I'm going to rank him or his projections or anything like that. All I do know is James White is going to get the ball thrown to him. Sony Michel is going to run the rock. Cam is going to run the rock. He's going to be a dual threat quarterback. Bill Belichick, I mean, he's about to come out with the Wishbone 2.0. I mean, we're going to have everybody in the backfield. No one's going to know what's going to happen. Mohamed Sanu is going to be the number one guy there. Him and Cam have been on a Pro Bowl team together. So Sanu in late rounds, I really like him just because he came out on Twitter and was like, let's go to work. He was the first one of those guys to say it. Besides Elman, who's going to get his. The other wide receivers are pretty young. So Cam probably has a little bit of a relationship with Mohamed Sanu, which I really like, and I should upgrade these here pretty soon. Moving forward, though, talking about another player who could possibly get traded is David Njoku from the Browns. We saw today that his sports agent, Drew Rosenhaus, came out and said, we want to trade. It's not that outlandish for the Browns to trade him. It's just something that they would have to think about because if they do trade him, they're going to take about $1.5 million in dead cap space, which isn't huge, but it's something that's like, wait, let's actually reevaluate this because the dude is like, 23, 24, 25, super athletic. He's like 6'4", runs the 40 and under 4.7. We've seen what he can do in bits and pieces if he can stay healthy. Tom, Cleveland Browns, do you think they get rid of David Njoku because he is such an athlete?
I know that they said that they don't want to. I think that they're going to kind of be forced to from what it sounds like. It sounds like Njoku is not going to play in Cleveland. I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to play in Cleveland. I don't care who you have around me. I don't care if it's OBJ. I could care less. Cleveland's not a good place to play, in my opinion. So I think he is going to leave. Honestly, we just talked about him and how they have some okay tight ends, but I think the Cardinals might be a decent fit for him. It's kind of just a guess, but and I haven't really heard any rumors for it, but just kind of ideally where he might fit. Kyler Murray with David Njoku, DeAndre Hopkins, that could be a pretty dangerous offense with him.
I like the Redskins. If you want to see what Haskins can do, I don't really like the tight ends on their roster that much right now. If you want to get every opportunity.
Hot garbage is right, Tom.
Also, I wanted to bring up, Adam mentioned Harris for New England in the backfield, and I wish Houston was live right now because I think he has him ranked higher than any of us do. So, I mean, Harris obviously, especially, I don't trust Michelle to stay healthy. I just don't. I don't know why, but Harris could easily get some touches there, especially if they're run heavy. It would make a lot of sense.
Well, I was talking to one of our fraternity brothers, Marco and Gio, Ryan, and this is my prediction for the Patriots. Bill Belichick is going to come out and have something crazy, win the division, Cam Newton, Sony Michel, dynamic duo, and then by the time the Super Bowl, the championships / Super Bowl comes around, Cam and Sony might be hurt. Stidham comes in, Tom Brady-esque 2.0, wins it with Rex Burkhead, Julian Edelman, and closes the chapter and starts a new one in New England.
Oh no, I can't even.
Vegas is hearing me right now. I'll put like $3 on it. I don't know. We'll see.
Real quick,
Paid like $6 million.
Real quick, I did see Marco Ayala in the comments here did ask Njoku to the Cowboys. And I just have to say, if Njoku does go to the Cowboys, I am not high on any receiver or tight end from the Cowboys because somebody's going to lose on target share. You have 3 great receivers already. Well, great might be a bit of a stretch, but very good receivers at the very least. And then you add in Njoku to the mix at tight end, and they have Blake Jarwin right now. But if he stays, absolutely lose now. Even if he goes, you have 4 very athletic guys outside. Somebody's going to not get their touches.
If Njoku does end up on the Cowboys, though, and Jerry Jones would be the guy to pay the extra 1.5 to get him out of Cleveland, and that offense would be athletic. They're like thrashers. You got Cooper, you got Lamb, you got Zeke, you got possibly Njoku, and then Gallup. Scott Davis is the Patriots. This would be a nice place for him too. Out of left field, Scott Davis. Thank you so much. Yeah, they love their tight ends. He's an athletic guy. We've seen what they can do with tight ends, with Hernandez, with Gronk. Who am I missing? There's the big name, Billy Watson.
Ben Watson.
Ben Watson. There we go. Ben Watson. And they could – that would be crazy.
You're a tight end up there.
Yeah, you're a tight end. You're doing all right. Let's keep it moving, though, because our guest is about to be on. He's messaging me. Tom, you were one of the first guys that we were talking about this in our chat. The Washington Redskins, possible name – not possible, but it's going to be a name change.
Yeah.
Your division, what do you think?
I mean, if you're listening to this on Facebook right now, you know that it's questionable. By the time this is up live on Spotify and everything else on Tuesday, very possible it could be a new team name. I mean, this has been talked about for years. I think it's kind of about time. A lot of names get thrown out there. I mean, the Warriors, the Red Tails, will throw back to World War II bombers, and I'm blanking on their names. If somebody remembers it off the top of my head, the Tuskegee Airmen for the Red Tails. I think there's some cool names out there that they could utilize and keep the team, the scheme of the color scheme, the uniforms, and even the logos fairly similar. I think there's some good options out there.
I heard they were going to be the DC Redskins.
I think everyone's seen the clip of Cartman by now answering the phone, Washington Redskins, go fuck yourself. I'm pretty sure that might have been Dan Snyder until Pepsi, FedEx, and now Nike removed all their merchandise from their website. I'm pretty sure that was him up until all of that happened. And he said, no, it's time.
For sure. We got one more thing to talk about before our guest comes in. Let's touch on it real quick. Nate, the NFLPA has presented a possible cancellation of preseason games. Tom has already said that he's okay with this. I'm okay with it as long as there's just maybe one scheduled. I just want one, just to have some confidence.
Yeah.
But if there's not anything, I'm okay with that too, because I really can't tell you the last time I watched a full preseason.
Exactly right. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And as long as they can play some games that count, even if it means no preseason games, I'm okay with it. I just want some real football that counts towards Super Bowl, counts. Yeah, exactly right. And if it means no four games that I watch for 10 minutes, then so be it. I'm not gonna complain too much over here. But hopefully, in September we see some football, and that's all I can ask and hope for right now.
Preseason's a big liar, anyways.
It really is. It really is.
There is a 2-week aspect to canceling that week 4 preseason game. It might prevent any COVID holdup from happening as well. Right. So.
Yeah, for sure. Our guest is in the backstage, guys. Before I introduce him in, because he really doesn't need an introduction, but as my boy Josh Lozano would say, I'm going to give him one anyway. Guys, I want you to think about this, because Houston's not with us live, but I'm a fan of his this or that. Like, it gets me going. I want to do something a little different because obviously I'm not Houston. So while our guest is talking, I want you to think about these things, and I'm going to just pop them to you throughout the episode, okay? Ready? Here we go. This or that, Chris Pinto style. Hollywood Brown, Will Fuller. That's 1. Alshon Jeffrey, McCole Hardman. That's number 2. Number 3, it's a little bit far-fetched, but it will make sense at the end of the show. Raquel Armstead or Anthony McFarland Jr. Those are the 3 this or that's. We'll touch on those at some point. Y'all won't know, but I'll just ask you at some point. So think about that. We'll move forward, though. Everyone who's watching, guys, this is a gentleman. I mean, we're talking a scholar and a gentleman, Dave Wright. Everyone has heard of Scott Fish and the Scott Fish Bowl that's going on right now. But Dave Wright is such a big proponent of the Podathon. He's getting everything set up behind it. And this was something that I knew about before the Scott Fish Bowl. For some reason, I knew about the 24-hour Podathon with Matthew Berry and Field Yates and all these guys on ESPN. Even before I knew about what it was all about, I just thought it was a fancy football 24-hour thing before I knew what it was actually sponsoring. I'll let Dave talk about it as he comes in, but man, I've been working with this guy and talking to him for the past few days. The dude is a class act. Everybody, welcome in Dave Wright.
Well, gentlemen,
Dave?
I don't even know what to say. My goodness. Can we do that again so my wife can hear it?
I sure can. We'll send you the clip. Dave, how you doing tonight, man? I know you're tired. You've been working to the bone, being a zombie, as you said. You doing okay?
Oh, I just sent out the sponsorship time slots, so I'm done. I'm kicking back now. So
you know what time slot we have by any chance off the top of your head? It's
off
okay
the top
if
of
you
my
got
head.
Email.
I know. I just sent it to you. All right. I don't know what time slots you have, but I know who you're sponsoring.
Oh,
so
who is it?
You guys are sponsoring the John Lobb half hour, the Gridiron Skull 91. Also, the Dynasty Vipers, Matt Donnelly at Dingus 4. And then because you guys so graciously offered to do late night, we gave you an extra half hour bonus, a bonus sponsorship. And you're also sponsoring Any Given Pod with Joshua Goldberg and Billy Beeman from DFM.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I'm really excited. When I saw that message from you, I mean, I was ecstatic. I was like, I can't believe they thought about us. Like, they know about us? That's awesome.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, I always see your video streaming at the top of my Twitter when I log in. You guys are always doing live streams, so how could I not ask you guys? So,
man, that is amazing. Thank you so much, Dave. But enough about that. Let's talk about you for a little bit more. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, man.
So I have been working in special ed now for about 10 years. So I work in special ed with kids with behavioral challenges and disabilities. I'm a behaviorist, so that's my specialty. So I'm really focused on gathering data and research. So I took that into fantasy football, and yeah, so I think it's the casual, everyone else's story. They started a league with a bunch of their friends, and they loved it. You move away from your friends, and how do you want to keep in contact? Well, you do fantasy football. So that's how I wound up. I was like, we'll start a podcast for the league, and then just like the footballers, let's try it. Let's try to release it to the public and see what happens. And it got pretty good feedback. So that's it. Tale of Two Rivals. So, and then I also write for Dynasty Football Factory. So I'm their data analysis nerd over there.
Man, we love nerds. We love stats. We love numbers. That's all we want to do. That's all we want to give our listeners. Dave, what's your most memorable fantasy football moment? Because being the nerd that you have, I know that there's one that just irks you.
So fantasy football. So I'll narrow it down to fantasy football. I was at my work. I worked at a school for kids with autism, and they had a bar right across the street, which was awesome because we worked crazy hours. So just hop right across the pike, and we were right there. And we decided to draft there one time, and it was in the middle of the day because that's just how the hours worked. And I was dead set. It was Devontae Parker's rookie year. I know I was pretty new into the whole data analysis thing. I was like, look at this dominator rating, and let's check this out here. And I wanted to take him in redraft, and I had him all ready to go. And he was sniped 2 picks before me, and I think I lost it in the bar. And there's a 70-year-old couple right in the booth next to us, and it's just all my buddies still. They like taped it. They said it, and I was in control, but everyone was just kind of saying like, "What's going on here?" It's like 1:00 in the afternoon. So all for Devontae Parker. So
hey, I love me some Devontae Parker. I know Ryan does too. I'd probably lose it too if someone sniped me that hard. Ryan had that feeling the other day when I sniped Darius Slayton out of him in our mock draft. We won't talk about that dude too much. But Dave, I don't want to hold you up too much because I know you need to get some sleep. The Podathon's coming up. Tell everybody about the Podathon a little bit more, how they can follow it on Twitter, and just enjoy everything that's going on because it's going to be pretty fun.
Well, first off, before I get into the actual Podathon, I wanted to say how much it means to me that you guys as a whole, the Belly Up Sports site and the team over there, you guys have stepped up. You sponsored us. That means a lot. We've already raised, I believe we hit $18,000 last night or today. Wow. And we only did 6K last year, which, that's still pretty that's still awesome. We did 6K this year, but we've already tripled our fundraising, and we make most of our money during the actual Podathon here. So you guys have been a big part of that as part of the sponsorship team. We didn't really know each other beforehand. I randomly DM'd you guys, and you got back to me. So I want to say hats off to you guys for really, replying to this weird spaceman character in your DMs talking about, hey, can I have some money, please? So but the actual Podathon, so it's a 24-hour live stream that's going to be held on the July 5th through the 6th, starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the FF Funhouse crew, who are now part of the Dynasty, is the DPN network, the Dynasty Dummy Funhouse Network or something. I ruined it. Sal's my guy, and Zach Tasked Assassin. I just butchered their thing, but I'll push on here. So they're the guys who are on air, and then they have 48 different guests this year, or just spots this year. So 48 different guests, half-hour segments from Matthew Berry, Liz Loza, Elliot Christ, Adam Levitan, Evan Silva. I'm forgetting there's so many big names on there. I'm leaving it. JG Zacharyson. And then but also a big part of the Podathon is we want to recognize up and coming pods and sites. And we also bring them on to for people to get to meet them. So the Podathon's all about bringing people together in the community, and it raises money. And this is the most important part. So I talked about the guests. I talked about, the content, talking to Scott Fishbowl. But the big part is it's raising money for the Toys for Tots and the Equal Justice Initiative. Those are very important charities for us and for a lot of people. And we wanted to figure out a way in the fantasy community that we're lucky enough to have a little extra money and all bring it together in the sense of community, just like, hashtag SFPX. That's what it's all about here. So that's what the Podathon is. Yeah. So, I could keep talking, guys. You're supposed to give me the cut sign here.
Dave, you're fine, man. I know it's what's on everyone's frontal lobe right now. And it is amazing. We followed suit. Like I told you in our text messages, we took what Scott Fish and y'all have done and kind of made it our own. Ryan has spearheaded this with Billy. Both of these two guys together have, you can see it on our bottom ticker if you're watching live. These guys have been amazing in coming together and helping us and follow suit in the whole fantasy community, because most of us have never been part of the fantasy community like this. And it's just so amazing, the camaraderie. We're talking about guys from England and across the pond that are messaging us and helping us out, and we're helping them out, and, just turning the suit, just the whole, it's a really good thing in the world that we're living in right now. So I could listen to you talk about it all day long, Dave, but I don't want to keep you too long. Obviously I can see your moniker down there, but tell everyone who's watching us where they can follow you, and have a good night. Have a good 4th of July, brother.
Oh yeah. I forgot. This is July 4th tomorrow.
I know.
So, we'll have some fun at the Podathon, getting ready and prepping beforehand, but you can follow me at FF_Spaceman. Check out my pinned tweet. It has 1,800 our fantasy relevant college prospects dating back to 2003 all the way through 2020. And it's got every stat you could possibly want on those players. So check out my pinned tweet. But more importantly, check out at SFP Podathon on Twitter. Check out Sal Leto on Twitter. Check out Kevin Cotillo. Check out Stephen Marcuse. And even I should also mention Tim at Tim NFL. Tim Torch has also been helping behind the scenes with raising money. So check us out, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on July 5th for the 24-hour live stream, guys. I'm really excited, and let's bring it home. The goal we were at 10,000 to start with. We crushed that, and now we set the bar for 30,000. I hope everyone. I'm going to be looking for everybody in the chat, guys. And I'm looking forward to it, guys. Look for the YouTube stream. It's going to be on Periscope, Facebook Live, and also on YouTube. So check that, or look out for those links.
Dave, thank you so much. We'll definitely be on the edge of our seats watching most of the pop. Well, I will. I don't know about the other guys, but I'll be watching most of it at least till we come up and then just see how y'all do. Because if y'all didn't know, Dave like hooked us up with our live read. He worked with me back and forth with it, gave me the green thumbs up and everything like that. So, Dave, I really appreciate you, man. Not going to keep you any much longer, man. Have a great night. Have a great 4th of July, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everything you do, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Everyone who is watching, that was Dave Wright at FF Spaceman. He's like the guy behind the scenes of the Scott Fish Bowl Podathon, obviously, that is on ESPN that everyone sees, but no one really understands what's going on. At least I didn't. So let's kind of move forward, guys, and talk about the meat. But before we get to the meat, guys, have y'all thought about what I was asking about earlier, the this or that? We're going to go with number 1, Hollywood Brown versus my guy, Will Fuller 5. ADPs are very similar. I'm not going to reveal them till the end. But, Tom, have you thought about this a little bit? If you were in a position that you needed a wide receiver 3, and both of these guys were staring at you in the face, who you taking?
Chris, you just had to ask me this one, didn't you?
I did.
You know that I'm not big on Lamar. You know I'm not big on him. I don't have faith in him continuing his success. But I also don't have faith in Will Fuller staying healthy more than maybe 8 games a season. I'm going to go Hollywood Brown by a hair. And that's only because I'm going to get 8-10 points at least a game out of him, probably. Pretty safely, I think. Will Fuller, I'm going to get maybe 15 points a game, but only for 6 games or so out of the season, probably. So overall, I think that Hollywood Brown's the more consistent pick, and I'm going to know what I'm getting. For me, he's the safer bet. But again, it's by a hair. If I only won him for 6-8 games, if I can get Will Fuller on the waiver, I'd take him all day.
That's fair. Billy. Oh, real quick. I'm sorry. Scott, thank you for taking that vodka shot for me. I had a little sip of beer. Billy, what do you think between Fuller and Brown? Who are you taking if they're staring both at you at the face?
Splitting hairs for me also, but I would probably go Fuller over Hollywood Brown. More of a passing offense there in Houston. Pretty run heavy there in Baltimore, but Will Fuller, he's on the field. The guy goes off almost every week. Hollywood Brown, he's had some big weeks as well. Also a little injury prone, but both smaller guys. You expect that a little bit, but both electrifying to say the least.
Nate Herman, our new guy. What you got?
For me, it's pretty easy. It's Hollywood Brown. Unlike Tom and Billy, it's not even close. I think this man is Tyreek Hill 2.0. He's blazing speed, can burn any defender. And I think Lamar is going to have to throw the ball more this year. There's no way he's going to rush for that many times from that many yards like he did last year. And last year, I did have Will Fuller on my team when he dropped 48 points on my bench. So me and Fuller are on bad terms right now, and I am not digging him at this moment. He has to show him. He has to regain my trust before I'm taking him.
That's fair. That's fair. Ryan.
Hollywood, baby.
I knew you were going to say that.
For a lot of the same reasons as Tom, I just don't think he can stay healthy, and I think Brown has more upside as far as so there's a lot more weapons to distract from Brown. They're going to run the ball all over people. Brown's going to take the top off the defense. I just don't think Will Fuller is going to stay healthy for a year. He hasn't shown me he can yet.
I mean, you're 100% right. He has not played a whole season yet.
Yeah, that's my concern. If they're both playing 16 games, man, I have a tough time, but I don't think he's going to play 16
I mean,
games.
I think we would all say if in a vacuum, if we knew Will Fuller was going to play 16 games, no question, Fuller all day.
I agree.
Notre Dame guy, go Irish, whatever, Will Fuller. But in the world that we live in, we really can't say that. So
I think we might need a prop me for over/under how many games Will Fuller plays this year.
That's a good one.
That might
Ryan, whatever it is under.
It'll be pretty low, also.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, I'd say we're probably at like, let's say 7.
6.5, 7. That feels
good for the over. Put it in even 8, so 8.5. You gonna play half the season or not?
Yeah. Dave, David, if you're watching from Prop Me, we're gonna send you that pretty soon, okay? We'll get you with that. So
Awesome. What's up to Travis? He said hello in the comments.
Travis?
How we doing, Travis?
Man, our Scott Bullfish guy right there.
Yeah, there he is.
Thundercats League, Thundercats Division. You better be practicing, man. You better not make us look silly. But let's move on to the meat of things, man. We've been talking for 30 minutes, and we haven't got into the NFC South yet. I mean, this is probably the biggest. Well, they're all huge teams in the NFC South, and this one has a lot of buzz about them because they've got the GOAT on their team. They're bringing Gronk out of the WWE. They've got Rojo too. They got Keyshawn Vaughn. They've got O.J. Howard. They've got Cameron Brate. They've got Chris Godwin, the number 2 wide receiver from last year for points. And then me and Ryan's guy, more so my guy, because I'm going to rank him higher than Chris Godwin. Y'all call me stupid. That's okay. Mike Evans from the 12th man, baby Texas A&M. I mean, they've got Byron Leftwich calling the plays there. He's been really good there. We can't complain about what he's been doing there. I mean, they did have Jameis Winston, totally new quarterback. So the numbers might be skewed. The play calling might be skewed because they might do more of a Tom Brady type thing. But Bruce Arians is going to do his thing no matter what. They're going to air the ball out, I'm assuming. The big question, though, in my mind, Tom, and I hope you answer it, is who are you taking at running back? I've heard multiple people say Keyshawn Vaughn's the guy, but I've been talking to my guy, Greg Thompson, who is a huge Buffalo Bills guy. He is in it, man. He's got numbers, analysis, and he's telling me to take Rojo all day. Tom, what's going on with this whole offense? Because I want all sorts of pieces from it.
Well, I'm going to give you a short answer on running back, and then we'll circle back to it. Taking nobody from them at running back. We're going to circle back to it, though.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'll tell you what. You brought up having Byron Leftwich calling plays. I'll tell you what, he reminds me kind of a little bit of the whole Kellen Moore situation down in Dallas. He's a previous quarterback, doing pretty well, a little creative with his play call. I'm curious as to what it will look like. You know, obviously Tom Brady, Jameis Winston, huge difference in your quarterback here this year. So, you know, not that Tom's got a noodle arm. He's not looking like Phillip Rivers out here, but he doesn't have a rocket for an arm, that's for sure. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of scheme around that. I think he'll have a good year. I personally have him ranked at 13th. I'm not super high on Brady, but it's tough to not succeed with the number of wide receiver and tight end weapons that he has. I mean, you look at that roster, like you said, you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate. And then, you know, obviously as you go past the top 2 receivers, it gets a little bit more questionable, but you know, Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, Justin Watson, they're not hurting for weapons, you know, as far as you know, targets go. Running back, a bit of a different story. Ronald Jones, not bad. You know, you look at last year, had about 768 yards, rushing, 7 touchdowns, receiving only 342 yards though. So definitely not a great receiving back. So PPR leagues, that's going to hurt a lot. It really doesn't get touches in the receiving game. That's where, you know, you brought up having Keyshawn Vaughn. Definitely more of a receiving back, a solid runner too. He's got an extra year. He can get up and go. Personally, I think by probably week 5, 6, he's going to take over as the number one back. I think we're kind of going to go from something like a 70-30 split game 1 to by week 5 or so, it's going to be more 60-40 to Keyshawn, and just kind of progressing as the season goes to him taking over as that number one back. I'm not big on rookie running backs generally, unless it's a number one guy, a Saquon Barkley coming out of college. But Keyshawn Vaughn, late round, might be worth a pickup, or if he's able to kind of go undrafted, you're able to pick him up on the waiver wires. Definitely worth a look, but I'm not big on either one coming out of the draft. Like we said, receiver, obviously Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, the big names. Beyond that, I probably fantasy-wise, they don't really have a whole lot of sorry about that, guys. They don't have a whole lot of notable fantasy receivers beyond that. But, obviously Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, we all, I think, had them top 10 or very close to it as far as rankings go. Tight end, Gronkowski, we discussed it before with him coming back into the league. I think he's more of a red zone threat. He's going to be reliant on touchdowns. I don't think we'll see him between the 20s very often. So I think yardage-wise, he'll be limited. And even receptions-wise, he'll be limited. So probably as far as PPR leagues go, he might not be the best option at tight end. I think we have a lot of other options that work out better than him. Again, tight end, touchdowns are going to be the big factor for him.
For sure.
20 to 20, O.J. Howard, I think, will be the big factor for them. You're going to see a lot of yards, a lot of receptions for him, again, without having a whole lot beyond the top 2 receivers. He's, I think, going to be the other guy out on the field getting the majority of those targets and yards from the tight end position. And one of the things that this team, I think we don't necessarily talk about a lot on this show is defense. They have a strong defense in Tampa. So I'm curious to see with them, probably not playing from behind too much. If they run the ball, again, I'm split on who to take. I think Keyshawn Vaughn is the best look, but I don't know that he's worth drafting. So I don't know how that might impact the passing game as well if you're not playing from behind, unless they just want to go Chiefs and rack it up on people at 50, 60-point games.
Yeah, we saw where CMC last year had 2 of his worst games against the Bucs. I mean, we're talking under, 80 yards both games combined. These guys know what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball, so you're not wrong about that, Tom. I think I'm going to have to agree with you, too. I was leaning Rojo, but I think I'm going to just fade the whole backfield right here. I might just try to stick with the receivers. And I mean, I have a quick stat right here. The Buccaneers, obviously last year with Jameis Winston, ran 70% of their plays out of 3 wide receiver sets. All of those were Godwin and Evans. The third guy, your guess is as good as mine, Scotty Miller probably, like you were saying. Or,
Tyler Johnson.
Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, Johnson as well. So who really knows? But I guess besides Evans, Godwin, and Brady, unless you want to take a flyer on Gronk like I will, because I think Gronk is going to have a major year, I think we're good with that. My projection, though, for Brady, though, I think he's going to be the GOAT again. I mean, I love Brady. Marco and these guys know how much I love Brady. I think he's about to throw for 4,300 yards and 28 touchdowns with a minimum of 320 completions. So I've got pretty high expectations for him. But also I do, obviously, with Evans and Godwin and Gronk there. Also, Tom, I see swerving on me. Brady Brady without Gronk has made 4 passes past the 20-yard line. With Gronk, 20, and they've all been to Gronk. So we could see Gronk maybe outside the red zone. We just could.
Here's the thing, real quick, Chris. It's not about Gronk even. It's about Tom Brady being the GOAT. And albeit he's the most successful quarterback of all time, I will never deny that. He's a very, 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 very good quarterback. God. His computer, and apparently she's very popular right now. So, sorry, fiance. But, no, so I put up an article, it was late last year, about the best quarterbacks of all time. And I kind of split it up because you can't really compare one quarterback to the other from the 70s to today. It's a different game. But from 2000 to 2010 and 2010 to 2020, Tom Brady wasn't the best. 2000 to 2010, Peyton Manning, ability-wise, just the best quarterback. Peyton Manning was a far better ability-wise quarterback than Tom Brady. Somebody tell me otherwise. The man could read a field and like it was nothing. He read it like it was a children's book. He was reading Green Eggs and Ham out there, calling out.
I think Ryan's about to explode because he hasn't agreed with you this much ever.
Exactly.
Dude, I got attacked for this.
But here's the thing. People talk 2010 to 2020. Who was better? Without a question to me, Drew Brees is a far better quarterback than Tom Brady. Not successful, but a better quarterback. In a vacuum, I'm taking Brees every time.
Talent-wise, Tom Brady is not the most talented quarterback out there. There's just no way around it. Brees is better, like you said. Manning, there are a number of guys who are better. In terms of their career-wise, sure, Brady's by far the best. But
from a fantasy perspective, I would pick Rivers on a year-to-year basis over Tom Brady.
That's you'd win more in fantasy if you did that.
Yeah, you
Correct.
would. That's true.
100% true. Sorry. Reading these live comments, man, get me going.
Your man, Ryan. You got
Got a bromance going on over there.
Travis made a good
on though. Let's get to Billy Witt, man. Brand new to Belly Up Fantasy, brand new to Belly Up Sports. He has been the spearhead for the St. Jude Belly Up Bowl. I mean, we could not have gotten this off the ground without Billy. His knowledge, his analysis helps me every day. And that's why I want him to talk about the Carolina Panthers and the 1.01 undisputed running back right now, Ryan, CMC. These guys have a brand new offensive coordinator in Joe Brady, who hasn't called a play for these guys ever. Now, he's had some experience, obviously, at LSU and with Sean Payton. So he's been in the division before. In 2017, 2018, he was the play caller for the New Orleans Saints with Bridgewater on the roster, surprisingly. So they've got a connection there. Obviously, Brady is a William and Mary guy, so we won't dive into too much of that. But he came around and he became a coach for the SEC, Nate. I know you were waiting for me to say something.
I was waiting for something to come up, yeah.
And so we know he can call some plays. We've seen him in the national championship. Granted, that team was ridiculous. This team is too. If Ian Thomas can ascend, as I know he's going to talk about at some point, these guys are pretty good on paper. Not the most talented at quarterback or receiver, but Matt Rule has had some of these guys prior. And I want to talk about PJ Walker as well. But Billy, tell me about these guys. What do you have on them that I don't know about, and who do I need to take? Obviously, I'm not overthinking the 1.01, but what are some of my worries? What are some of my pros?
Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is the king right now, outscoring everybody by nearly 10 points a game last year, undisputed, conversation all of his own. The wide receivers position with the Carolina Panthers is kind of where, you need to direct your attention. Obviously, DJ Moore is kind of the class of the team. He's a borderline top 10 guy. I think I have him at number 13 right now. And mostly that's a little bit of concern with Teddy Bridgewater not pushing the ball down the field. Kind of been his MO with the Vikings. Saw it a little bit with the Saints last year. But if Joe Brady can change that, I think DJ Moore is in for a very big year. We got deep threats with Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson coming down from the Jets. Both of those guys, once again, if they don't push the ball down the field, they're not going to be very productive. But, overall, I think this team could make a lot of noise in a division where they need to score points. Defense is struggling. We don't talk a lot about defense, but with this defense, this team's going to need to score a lot of points, especially in this division. Ian Thomas, he's shown it, some stretches, flashes. Need some consistency, and maybe Bridgewater brings that with him. Quarterback play's been up and down in Carolina. Bridgewater hanging out in New Orleans. Him, Joe Brady should have some things to talk about and some things to bring to the table that could have him humming in Carolina.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. Matt Rule is like a savant. Let's talk about the connection that he's got. He brought in Robbie Anderson. I mean, this dude bought Robbie Anderson to be on his team essentially. And then he scoops up PJ Walker. Both these guys helped him win games in college. He knows how they play. They know how he coaches. Ryan, being a guy that knows football from the ins and outs, from the offensive line like you do, that's a huge connection, right? Between a quarterback, a coach, a head coach, and a star wide receiver. Obviously, Bridgewater is the guy there, but come on. PJ Walker's going to get some love, right?
I'm going to be honest. Christian McCaffrey gets love, and that's it for me. I don't want anything to do with Carolina this year because it's not because of the other guys. It's because of Bridgewater. I don't want anything to do with him in fantasy. He has less touchdowns than games played. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm wrong because he did have little bits of flashes in New Orleans, little ones that I thought, okay, maybe he's taking the next step. And guys do that. I just can't get the idea out of my head that Teddy Bridgewater is not good at fantasy football.
I'm with you, and I'm going to agree with you and Nate about we're going to go left field real quick, but the whole Bridgewater, Danny Dimes thing, I'm with both of you guys on this. So we won't dive into that too much. We'll talk about that in the next episode after we get done with our divisions. But that's a big deal to me at least. And for me,
Travis.
I'm looking at it.
Ryan's in trouble.
Yeah.
I just
You don't bring in these big, okay, so in my mind, you don't bring in these guys that have all of this buzz around them like PJ Walker did with the whole narrative of Matt Rule, of Temple, of Robbie Anderson. Tom, you know I love narratives. I love stories. I'm a story guy. I love Disney.
You just love anything SEC. You love narratives.
Well, they're not SEC, but they're Texas guys, so I give the juice to the Texas guys, obviously.
Right.
We know a little bit more about football.
Travis, I want to clarify one thing. I will take DJ Moore, Samuel, Anderson, all those guys, but not at their ADP right now because I think that they're too high considering who the quarterback is.
No, that's 100% fair, man. I don't disagree with you on that. We were talking about who I have been drafting. I don't believe I've drafted any Carolina Panthers player except CMC and Ian Thomas only because of Tom. And that's a strong vote for you, Tom. I'm just saying, if Ian Thomas craps out on me, it's your fault.
So here's the thing real quick. So I just want to touch on it. Obviously, that's been a bold statement from me for a while now. That was one of our earliest shows I brought that up. We did tight end rankings. I'm big on CMC. Everyone is. He's one of the best backs in the league. That's no question. I had somebody ask me the question, why wouldn't Bridgewater be checking down to CMC? Why would he check down to Thomas? Because I think that's who he's going to check down to. Every defense's biggest focal point on the Panthers is CMC, right? That's the man you stop. Ryan, I don't disagree with the fact that you were saying Teddy Bridgewater, probably not the best quarterback of all time by any means. He's not bad, but he's not lighting the world up, right?
Only in fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely. DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, you have weapons. I'll tell you what, they have a great receiver room. But I don't expect huge seasons for any of them with Bridgewater. Maybe in a year or two, if they're all able to develop, he might have learned a thing or two from Breeze. That's great. But I think that this year it's going to be learn the offense, checking down. I think that with defenses putting a lot of pressure on CMC, you might see Ian Thomas get a lot of those checkdowns where he's going to be running out routes, he's going to be running drag routes, little slants, because it's going to be an easy target for Bridgewater to hit on a short pass and just start moving the ball. Personally, that if I'm utilizing that offense, that's how I'm going to use it. I'm going to keep him on some short, quick routes that if nobody's open, he's going to be the guy to go to.
I don't disagree with that at all. I think that's a fair point.
Me either.
Good point. Yeah.
And that's a point that we haven't brought up yet either, and I really like it. As Tom always comes in with these hot takes, Tom also gave me the end earlier, and I just totally whiffed. I mean, he alley-ooped me the ball, and I just hit the goal. I'm talking about when Tom gave me the layup for Prop Me. I mean, Prop Me is a new and innovative gaming platform and really a first of its kind. Prop Me brings betting from person to person to a more easier than ever. I mean, designed for a new and experienced gamblers alike. I mean, we're talking me to Tom. Inexperienced to experienced. I don't know what I'm doing. He knows what he's doing. We can both have fun on Prop Me because it's so user-friendly, guys. I mean, you can literally create a prop on anything. Want to bet on the next play? Want to bet on how many beers I'm going to drink? Want to bet how many times I'm going to say SEC in a show? You can do it on Prop Me, guys.
We will be eventually here. Don't worry.
Create the prop. It takes hanging out with your friends to a whole new level, guys. Join today by downloading the Prop Me app or go to propmellc.com. Now, let's move on to the second this or that I was talking about. Nate, I want to start with you, man. Am I going to take up the banged-up Alshon Jeffrey or the young gun, high flyer, McCole Hardman?
You know what? I'm going Hardman just because out of both these guys, they're on your bench most weeks. And I like Hardman's big playability. He's on the Chiefs. He's fast. Holmes throwing the football. And Jeffrey cannot play more than 6 games a year. I'm sorry, Tom. It just cannot happen.
I agree.
Oh, good. But I like Hardman's big play, big week potential. Jeffrey, just more of a 6 to 10 point kind of guy, just kind of there. Hardman can kind of take you to the next level. If you get lucky, put him in, plug and play in a week. I like Hardman over Jeffrey here.
Tom, get in on this because I heard you agree with Nate, and that's about Alshon.
Yeah, I was surprised.
If I was running the Eagles, Alshon wouldn't be on the team. I don't care the dead cap that's on that. I know it's a lot.
I respect that.
It's a ton of dead cap. I wouldn't care. As a fan, I hope they get rid of him. I could care less. Get rid of him. He's a locker room problem. He's not great anymore. He's 32, 33. He's into his 30s. He's regressed terribly. I'm taking Hardman. This wasn't even a question. When you initially brought this up, it was a no-brainer. I'm not touching Alshon Jeffrey.
That's fair.
By the way, you have Jalen Reagor. You have Hightower. Deshaun Jackson, if he can stay healthy for a couple of games, not going to say that he can, but hey, if he does, great. I do think Arcega-Whiteside has a better year this year than last. You have Ertz, you have Goddard, you have Miles Sanders, you have I'm blanking on his name, tiny guy, Boston Scott. Corey Klein. Alshon Jeffrey is the last thing I'm worrying about. They don't need a big target. They have the tight ends for that. And Arcega-Whiteside's pretty big. He's good at that 50-50 ball. I'm not getting anywhere near Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, Mike Clavin told us that J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was going to be his guy out of everything. So,
personally, I don't touch any Eagles player this year, aside from maybe Wentz at the right draft position. But
Sanders?
Oh, I love Sanders.
I will say I do have Sanders. I'm big on him, but even that, it scares me just because the Eagles spread the ball so much. That's always been a big factor for them. As an Eagles fan, I love it from a watching the game perspective because they're going to go to. Obviously, Ertz gets big touches. With Ertz, you're getting to that point where eventually you're going to start leaning off to Goddard. You're going to try and spread the ball more to him. He gets double coverage constantly. Sanders, I think he's going to have a big year, but is it big enough? Will they bring in Boston Scott? Will they bring in Corey Clement? Will they bring in another running back to kind of supplement him as a true number 2? I think Boston Scott could do it, but will they bring in one of these other guys that they've discussed? We're not going to go in depth on it, but it just scares me from a fantasy perspective. As an Eagles fan, I love it.
Right on Wednesday or Thursday of the week when they signed Devontae Freeman.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Nate, I mean, let's talk about, so we've talked about some good teams in this. I mean, they're all good teams in this division, but this is probably my favorite team. I wanted to end our podcast with this, but I couldn't because I got too excited, man. The Atlanta Falcons, Nate. I'm talking Matt Ryan. I'm talking my boy Julio. SEC undefeated national champion.
There you go.
He gets 250 yards year after year per game when no other receiver can do it. I mean, he's crazy. And then we got Calvin Ridley. Then we got the biggest guy that I couldn't talk more about, Todd Gurley. I talked about this episode. I love narratives. I love the prodigal son. I love Todd Gurley coming back home to Georgia, to Atlanta, to his home state, to just rip it up, man. Everyone's low on Todd Gurley. I'm not. I mean, they're going to utilize him. Dirk Cotter has called 193 games for these guys. They know how to utilize what they have. And Matt Ryan's going to have a huge year with everybody involved. This is one of those things where I'm like Kyler Murray in the Arizona Cardinals. Talk me off the ledge because I'm high on all these guys, and no one can tell me otherwise. But, Nate, I need you to tell me, realistically, what am I looking at when I'm looking at the Atlanta Falcons? Because I want everything. I want the tight end. I want the receivers. I want Matt Ryan. I want Todd Gurley. I even want Brian Hill. I want everybody. What we got, Nate?
I mean, I can't disagree with you there. But obviously, quarterback Matt Ryan, I'm going to throw some quick stats at you guys real quick. Last 8 years, Ryan has thrown for at least 4,400 yards in 7 of those out of the last 8 years. Missed only 3 games in his 12-year career. So this guy is durable. This guy is reliable, consistent, solid touchdown to turnover ratio. I think this guy, he's getting older. He's, I think, 34 now, I want to say. He's getting older, but I think with the players that he has around him, the coaching staff, and his experience, he's in it for another big year. You got Jones, Ridley, Hearse now, Gurley. I mean, the list goes on. I think Ryan's for sure top 10 fantasy quarterback this year. I have him as my 8 right now. I think he could be I think that's about the range I see him going in. But I like Ryan, consistent, durable. He's going to get the job for you done week in and week out. Now, Todd Gurley, who they picked up this offseason, big upgrade from Freeman. I think I'm with you. Gurley's being undervalued this year heavily. On the Rams, last year had a little bit off year, but still had 12 touchdowns, I think 800-plus yards. But in 2017, 2018, he led the league in touchdowns, over 1,000 yards rushing. I think he picks up where he left off 2 years ago. And I think, like Chris says on a lot of the episodes here, 1-year contract, they're going to run him into the ground. If he gets hurt, oh well, see ya, never again. So I think Gurley is a big – I think he could be an RB1 this year at the end of the year. I do. Maybe call me crazy. I see Chris going crazy over there, but call me crazy. I think he's RB1 or has the potential to be RB1 by week 17, hopefully. That happens. Receivers, here are the big boys. Julio, Ridley, and Gage is the receiver 3. Jones has to be one of the biggest mysteries of fantasy football that he can't get touchdowns. It's weird. He gets so many yards a year, 1,300, 1,400. It's unbelievable. He hasn't had 10 since 2012, but he's still a top 3 receiver. Just shows you his talent. Even though he's not getting 6 points for touchdowns, he's still racking up 100-plus yard games, 8-plus catches. I mean, he's an absolute monster at receiver. And I think if he can record 10-plus touchdowns, he could dethrone Thomas as the wide receiver 1 this season. See, Chris is just happy now. This is okay.
Stop on the SEC.
I'm about to explode, guys. It's an even year. Julio is going to explode. He explodes on even years.
It's
just wait. It's my wide receiver 1. We'll talk about it at the end of the season.
I mean, he definitely could be. I do see him having that potential. And if it's between Jones and Hill, I'm taking Jones 9 out of 10 times. I love Hill. I do love Hill, but I like Jones' consistency. And then Ridley is the wide receiver 2. Solid first 2 years in the NFL, over 800 yards, had 10 touchdowns, which tied Jones' career high in his rookie year, funny enough. But obviously Jones can eat up lots of targets in Atlanta, but Ridley should see his fair share of targets. I think it's another solid year as he gets more experience in the NFL, as he, kind of him and Ryan continue to connect. I see them as a Thomas Sanders kind of duo. Very solid wide receiver 1, but more than capable second option in the out wide. So I think Ridley. I know some people are. I think Ryan's pretty low on Ridley this season, but I do like. I mean, I'm not the highest, but I'm not the lowest really. I'm neutral on Calvin this season. And then the wide receiver 3, Russell Gage. This guy is a solid deep league sleeper. I got to tell you, if Jones or Ridley goes down, he's a wide receiver 2. If they don't, he's a solid short route kind of dink and dunk kind of receiver. Jones and Ridley are 2 solid deep threats, so they're going to be streaks, post, whatever. Gage has the opportunity to get some shallow cross routes, slants, drags, all that kind of fun stuff. So I think maybe as a plug and play kind of guy, Gage is a solid sleeper, late round, deep league option. So don't sleep on this guy. His ADP is very low. I think he's the wide receiver number 99 or something crazy like that. So if you're in a 16-team league, crazy bench, Gage is a very good option there. And then tight end, of course, Hayden Hearse, they brought in from Baltimore. I think this guy gets involved heavily this year. They traded a second rounder second round pick to the Ravens for him. So they can't just be he won't just sit on the bench do nothing. You don't spend a second rounder for a guy to sit and get 5-10 snaps a game. So I think Hurst has a big year. Ryan targeted Hooper 97 times last season. I don't think Hurst will get that many targets, but I think he's getting 70 plus. I think he's another solid kind of sleeper, pretty low ranked tight end for the Falcons this season.
Nate, I think you took every word out of my mouth. I loved everything you said. I'm a little biased. Ryan, what do you think, man? I see you over there, kind of got the hand on the chin.
Got the no going.
You got the no's going. He's a sourpuss right now, whatever.
I don't like Matt Ryan. I think the only way that Julio scores 10 touchdowns is if Matt Schaub is playing quarterback for them. I think they have. I'm telling you, Matt Ryan doesn't like Julio Jones. When he gets to the red zone, Julio Jones disappears from his mind. I had Julio in a very touchdown-dependent league. It's embarrassing. I hate Matt Ryan. Yeah, but it's not happening. Like, why is Hooper and Ridley outscoring Julio?
It was an odd year.
Did he outscore him the year before?
It was an even year.
The even year, Ridley outscored him.
I'm just talking about how good it was. I don't have the numbers pulled up in front of me right now. So
that's the only thing that drives me crazy. Matt Ryan drives me crazy. I'm not saying he's bad at all. And nobody on this offense is bad. It just drives me crazy that Julio doesn't get the touchdowns. He should be getting more touchdowns. Period.
Sure.
And I don't like it at all.
What happens in even year? Just wait.
It's 2020, Ryan.
I had it
Ryan.
Years.
Hashtag coronavirus. Hashtag Julio Jones. Out of left field, I guess Houston got finished with Captain America, the first Avenger, and he's going to chime in on something.
Have we touched on Hayden Hearse at all?
A little bit, yeah. Not enough. We're talking about Julio right now.
I heard
we're talking about Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I would agree, though. I mean, I have Julio in one of my big leagues, his keeper league, and Ryan does not want to use him whatsoever in the red zone. But I hate how people are making him outside their top 10 in dynasty leagues when he still has 2, 3 years, 4 years of elite play still in him. If you do a dynasty startup now, you're probably going to get Julio in the 4th or 5th round, which is just crazy. God. I mean,
disrespectful.
It is.
Not Larry Fitzgerald. I mean,
I agree. It's ridiculous.
But that's my 2 cents. I'll let you guys continue going on with what you have to say.
Oh, no, you're good, Houston. You're good. Hey, jump in on this real quick. It's the last. I wanted to copy you, and this one's not as good as the other 2. But this is the last this or that. You can kick us off. They've been thinking about it, so I want to give them a little bit of time to think about it, but you have not been privy to it. These 2 guys are staring you in the face. You need a running back. Oh, I love it. Okay. All you guys then. Raquel Armstead, Anthony McFarland Jr. Who y'all taking?
McFarland.
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 Oh, unanimous.
I think that's the first time that's happened on the show, right?
Yeah.
Everyone can thank Lindell Whirling for that. She
Exactly,
will also be part of our St. Jude's Bowl. Billy, Ryan, before we jump into the New Orleans Saints, y'all want to talk about it? I know I've been touching about it and saying how much y'all have done for this, but everyone who's watching, Billy, take it over for a little bit, man. I know this is your baby. What can we expect from this, and what's going on with it?
Just looking to try to get this thing full, get it going. Big thing going on for Belly Up, sending some money to St. Jude's. That's always a great thing. Just excited about it, ready to get it kicked off and spread the word.
For sure. Ryan, you got anything to add to that, brother?
120 teams, one man standing.
Oh.
It's going to be me, but you're welcome to come get some. We are going to do – this is going to be awesome, guys. I mean, this is a 120-team league. Again, we're doing it with St. Jude's. Thank Billy got this thing going. This is going to be something so awesome for everybody. Get involved in it. There's going to be a lot of smack talk, I'm sure. But this is your chance to test your knowledge against us. I mean, we're doing our studying. We're not going to be going – I'm not going soft on anybody. You're going to be getting us – we want to win this thing. So come on in and beat us because, well, good luck. We're not going to be playing games. This is going to be awesome, guys. This is going to be the ultimate – I'm so excited. I can't talk about it anymore. I get too excited.
Man, that is so great because there's been such a big following. I mean, I'm getting DMs every hour asking about the league and asking about not just signing up, but just donations as well. Because it's such a good donation. It's such a good cause. Everyone knows what St. Jude's research can do for a friend of a friend. It doesn't really hit home until it hits home. And that's why we're doing this, because it's such a good cause. And, I mean, these guys they flip the bill on everything. If you don't know what it's about, go read just their website. You don't have to read our website. It's crazy. Yeah, Ryan.
The craziest thing, the stat that blew my mind, when St. Jude opened, this survival rate for kids with cancer was 20%. And right now, today, it is 80%.
Wow.
They are doing yeoman's work.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing what they're doing. It really is mind-blowing what they're doing at St. Jude.
For sure. And before we get too mushy and everything like that, because I've got a 17th, about to be 18-month-old daughter, and every time I see one of those commercials, I have to either change the channel or I tear up. We were talking a little smack. Ryan was talking about he's going to be the last one standing in this. I don't believe it's going to happen. I think it's going to be me. Nate believes it's going to be him. Houston knows it's going to be him. Dan in our text message says he's got nothing to worry about. You just PayPal him the money at the end of it. There's a lot of smack talk going on, guys. But what's going to happen at the end of this, I don't know if we were clear or not, but you can just imagine the following that we're getting. There's going to be a trophy involved. It's going to be provided by Trophy Smack. And there's not a better way to commemorate your league winner than using Trophy Smack. There is no other company in the business that does it better than these guys at Trophy Smack. They create trophies and belts and rings of all sizes in a variety of colors, along with free engraving with free shipping all over the place, man. We had guys from the UK asking if they could deliver to them, and they said no problem. You get a free ring now with any purchase of a trophy or a belt, as long as you use the promo code Belly Up. So click on our link, go to their link on Twitter or Facebook, and use the promo code Belly Up. You can also go to trophysmack.com and use it there, man. These guys are amazing. Go see what you can do. I'm going to use them for my leagues. I know Houston has used them for their leagues. Our owner, Mike Brown, sent us a message of him holding a Trophy Smack trophy with his name on it maybe 2 or 3 times, so he's kind of gloating. Don't know what he was really doing there, but I'm going to let that go, Mike. Ryan, let's talk about probably the biggest team in this division, excluding Tom Brady, just the most established team. I mean, coaching 171 calls by Sean Payton, excluding his 2012 season when he got suspended. He's called all these plays. Breeze has been your guy. I've asked you about Breeze. I've drafted Breeze. because of some things that happened, but his value is so good. His talent is so good. The guys around him are so good. I mean, ADOT, ODT, everything has them at number 1 in completions, in yards, in touchdowns. It's just crazy what Michael Thomas did last year. And then they add an SMU guy from Texas, Emmanuel Sanders out of Belleville, baby. I mean, dude won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, your guy. They got Alvin Kamara, who could possibly be the number 1 running back this year, as some people have stated or have hypothetically stated. And then Jared Cook, who was not fancy, was not sexy, had no touchdowns last year, but still finished as a tight end number 7. They've got guys on this roster that are just going to explode, and their defense is not bad either. Kiko Alonso is leading that linebacking core, and they're good. What can I expect from these guys, Ryan? Because, like I mentioned earlier with the Falcons and with everyone else in this division, I want pretty much everything to do with this team.
Yes. What you can expect is a lot of offense. Just like every year that Drew Brees has been the quarterback for the Saints, there's going to be a ton of offense. I have more health concerns with Brees this year than I ever had, but I'm not that concerned. He's been relatively durable, actually, throughout his career. I do think he's going to play the year. I think this is his last year, so I think he's going to push through any sort of bangs and bumps. This is his last year. He can etch his name in the record books more than they already are. He owns the completion percentage records. It's really remarkable what the guy's doing. I mean, I know he has Thomas. I think Sanders might be the best wide receiver, too, he's had since this started. I like both of those guys. I'm getting exposure to all 3 of those guys. I'd love to get exposure to Kamara. I love Cook. Really, if you can get a piece of this offense, get a piece of this offense. One guy that I like to make a note about that people are sleeping on a bit is Traquan Swift. And for a lot of the same reasons that he's never healthy. He's never on the field. But the guy's had 5 touchdowns 2 years in a row. I mean, when you consider how many games he's played, that's kind of remarkable. To be the wide receiver 3, to have Sanders there, I'm looking at Traquan as like a streaming option. The other thing is Latavius Murray is no bum. I don't think they can have Kamara be a bell cow back and be effective. I think he's more of a weapon. I don't see him getting the massive amount of carries that some of the other RB1s get. For that reason, Murray makes some sense, especially if you get Kamara early to lock down Murray late, because if Kamara goes down, and he does have some injury history, if Kamara goes down, Murray vaults into the conversation as a borderline elite running back just because of his situation. I mean, Brees going to keep the defense honest. If you try to stop the run, New Orleans is going to punish you hard. And then another guy, less so for this year, but more so for like a dynasty league, Adam Troutman. I mean, how long do we think Jared Cook can play? He's still really good now, but how many years does he have left?
I'd say Troutman, 1, 2.
I mean, maybe, I don't know, because Cook, who knows? Especially Brees is gone at the end of the year too, but they did get Jameis. I do like that. A year to learn behind Brees, really literally the most accurate quarterback of all time. Some LASIK surgery for Jameis. I mean, that's going to be good. I don't like that there's a bunch of crab in New Orleans, so he could get himself into some trouble. But I do – the future of this team, I'm not – now that they have Jameis, I'm totally cool with investing in the Saints and Dynasty too, because if you can get Michael Thomas, get Michael Thomas. Pretty much everybody's wide receiver 1. I mean, I know there's some guys that can supplant him, but my goodness, you can't guard Mike. He's remarkably efficient receiver. He doesn't drop the ball. He's good at all 3 levels. I mean, he's not got that burning speed, but has that hurt him at all? Are we having concerns about Michael Thomas? No, not at all. You want to get exposure to the Saints. Their offense is consistently in the top when Brees is there. And now that they have Jameis, who had a monster year last year other than outside the massive amount of interceptions he had, yeah, I want this team. I want lots of Saints on my team. Kamara is obviously hard to get a hold of, and so is Thomas, but they're both worth the investment early if you can get a hold of them. And then I think Sanders is being underrated right now just because I think he's the best receiver 2 Michael Thomas has ever had. So, yeah, 30-30 vision, exactly. Give me Saints. Give me all the Saints. I want them all.
Man, my one thing, though, is Thomas had 185 targets, and he caught 149 balls. You think he replicates that with Sanders there?
Totally possible, probably not probable.
Fair enough.
Agreed, yep.
Ryan, I got to bring up You brought up dynasty leagues, Jameis Winston. You seem to have forgotten who the true franchise quarterback is in New Orleans.
The tight end.
BYU, baby.
Mr. Hill.
My tight end man from BYU. He's 30 years old. No, he's not going to be the franchise quarterback. I love Taysom Hill. Don't get me wrong. My fiance's 12-year-old brother wanted to come play Madden, and I decided to roast him with the Saints like 50-0, and Taysom had like 300 yards combined, receiving, rushing, and passing. It was just terrible.
Tom, real quick, I can see you like in was it not Step Brothers, but with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston, where they live in the same apartment. They're not
Breakup or
and he's
something.
roasting the dude. I can see you doing that.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, no. You pretty much nailed it on everything you said. I will say Taysom Hill, one of those things that fantasy-wise, we didn't really bring him up. I think we have to mention him because it's probably one of the biggest names on the Saints, aside from Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. He's the next most talked about guy. Fantasy-wise, useless. Don't pick him up. It's not going to be worth it. You can play him at tight end and flex this year. He's actually not listed.
Yay.
That's a big deal to me.
Quarterback. It is a big deal. I don't think he's going to see enough play.
There's no way he gets enough snaps to be relevant.
There's a roster spot for him on my team now because of that. There really is. I mean, he's in any given week.
Hey, if you have a big bench and you just have an open spot sitting there, sure, why not? But I'll tell you what, it's going to be tough to justify playing him.
Yeah.
Unless you see that they're really just throwing him out there on a significant amount of plays. I love Taysom Hill. Don't get me wrong. I think he's done fantastic things for that gadget player. He is the guy that everyone talks about. As an Eagles fan, everyone talks about Jalen Hurts is going to come in as a Taysom Hill type player. That's what it is now. Everyone talks about him. Fantasy-wise, though, like we said, maybe sitting on the bench, and if we see enough play for him, great. But even being able to line him up in the tight end of the flex, I personally can't justify starting him. He's really just kind of he's an offensive weapon in real life, and that's it.
He's better NFL
player, maybe not so much a fantasy football player.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's
Again, it's like the
And he's
Eagles.
going to win you some DFS games for sure. And he's going to win somebody a bunch of money, but you got to know when to use them.
It's
to plug him in.
not even a when; it's just luck. It is
right. Yeah. It's
you
just,
put him in the right day in the flex of the tight end, and he's going to go off. He's going to have a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown in a random game, week 12 or that.
It's going to happen when a lot of people have bye weeks with their tight ends, and they got to plug him in.
I just need to clarify really quick. Week 12 of the NFL season, don't go starting Taysom Hill at tight end saying, belly up, Tom told you to do it. I did not say that. That's a random week. I'm not saying that week 12 he's going to have a great week. That may be their bye week. I don't know. But
what if it happens, though? What if it comes to fruition?
then
he will, and if that happens, I am putting every penny I have on a lotto ticket the next, or on black or something. I am gambling every cent to my name the next day.
Man, that's awesome. Guys, I love the analysis tonight. Billy, Nate, thank you for being with us. We got to have you back on more often. Billy, we got to get some more exposure, man.
Yeah, thanks for
I
having me.
love it always, dude. But before we go to our closeout, Ryan, talk about what you've been doing for the past, 36 hours. I haven't been a part of it because I've been doing some other things. I need to get with it. I need to get my rankings in. But what have we been doing on our website where people can kind of follow us, know what we're doing, know where our consensus is, and kind of help them win their championships?
Yeah, I mean, the consensus rankings are getting updated every week. Again, we're doing it every week. We've got the rankings are even, in my opinion, every week that I see the rankings, I'm like, whoa, these are looking better and better because everybody's getting, as we get closer and closer to the season, guys like Cam moving up, the Dalvin Cook situation should clarify. All of our guys are getting their stuff up to date so we can have it as good as it can be when your draft is ready. It's really been a lot of work for all of our guys. I know it has because it's been a lot of work for me to get my rankings in. And then keeping them up to date is no easy task either. So we are putting in some real legwork to get these rankings up so you guys can see what our brains put together are going to think everybody's going to do this year. It's a lot of information. When I study, this is what I go look for. I go look for the rankings from the guys that I trust or the guys that I think know what they're talking about. And we're trying to give you what we think so you can easily find out, okay, what do they all think? All right, well, who's the highest on this guy? Who's the lowest on this guy? And then shout us out at Twitter and find out why we're that high or why we're that low. Like, we're ready to engage with everybody. We're ready to tell you why we think the guys are going to go where they are. And we're ready to put our list out there against anybody's list. I mean, we've got guys here that know what they're talking about. They're doing the work so you don't have to. So use it. It's a tool. If you want to win, you've got to do your studying. And this is just another tool to study with to help you do better in your fantasy league. I mean, it's going to take work, and we're trying to do as much of that work for you as we can.
For sure, Ryan. Also, just to streamline, because you're going off on a train, man, one more time for the Belly Up Bowl. And then I want to leave that into Billy because I know you're going to say some stuff that you're going to forget that Billy will pick up because that's how a team works, and that's how we're working at Belly Up. We're just a big team. We're a big family, and that's how we roll. And that's the atmosphere that we want to bring everybody else. So, real quick, if y'all are watching us, if you think that you can write, if you think you can analyze things, it doesn't matter if it's football, baseball, golf, hockey. I mean, curling. Bro, I will watch curling with you if you have some analysis on it and you can tell me what's going on because I don't know what's going on. I just know that you're either trying to make the thing get harder or whatever. I don't know. I'm just –
You're what, Chris?
That's what she said, man.
What are you doing?
Come DM us and ask us and say, hey, I want to write for you guys. I want to be a part of the team, and I want to get my name out there because that's what we're doing. But, Ryan, talk about the St. Jude Belly Up Bowl, man, because it's amazing.
Yeah, I want to give it to Billy since it's his baby, and then I'll fill in anything that you might forget. But this is really – a lot of this is because of you, man.
Well, kind of going with the theme with the Belly Up draft picks. We got your favorite NFL draft busts for our division names. We got some really fun names, some guys you know, some guys you might have forgotten about. So bring a little humor to the game here too. But we're also looking for the best and the baddest that the fantasy community has to offer. We want this thing to be a gauntlet. So we challenge you to find your friends, family, co-workers, guys that generally know football, know fantasy football, and want to get down. That's who we're trying to invite here. So 120 teams, $1,000 grand prize, trophy, bragging rights, out of this world. Let's get it. Join, let's go, get signed up. Here we are.
Billy, I can't wait to take your money.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Nate, let everyone know where they can follow you, what you're working on, man. Obviously, you're helping Houston out with these mock drafts, and you're leading the content that's pretty much rolling out from these mock drafts. That has been such a big proponent for us to get followers, to get people watching us, because our analysis is so good. So, Nate, being one of the youngest guys here, one of our young guns, let everyone know where they can follow you at, man.
Yeah. So on Twitter, you can follow me at Nate Herman 27. My DM is always open. Any questions, any discussion, debates, let me know. I'm happy to talk to you guys. And then as Chris said, Mock Draft Mania is every Saturday, except this Saturday because July 4th. We're doing live stream mock drafts, all different types of leagues, different scorings, different rosters. So make sure you're tuning in live on Saturday at 5:15 Eastern. Not this week, next week though. So when your draft day comes around the corner, you're ready. We're giving you our strategies, our analysis on the guys we're taking. And the articles, all the guys at Belly Up are writing. Billy's involved, Ryan's involved, Tony, Travis, all these different guys giving you their analysis on different guys. So make sure you're staying tuned with that. Tomorrow, our guest analysis will be live. Chris Robin, Detroit Beastie, great guy. And then I'm also in the Ryder Bowl this year, which is a new, very excited for that. The Dynasty Ryder Bowl. If you didn't know, the Ryder Cup, I believe it's called, is the golf Americans versus Europeans. Now this is the Dynasty Bowl, which is a dynasty league between 6 U.S. divisions, I believe, and 6 European divisions. So very excited to be involved with that with Ryan, Chris, and other Belly Up guys. And then in about 3 weeks, baby, first sport back, baseball. So stay tuned for some of my articles coming on that. And yeah, that's all I got. And make sure to sign up for St. Jude Belly Up Bowl. Spots are going fast. You don't want to miss it. Billy and Ryan are doing a great job so far. I'm one of the commissioners of the division, so maybe you'll be in my division. Who knows? Tim Couch all the way. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem, Nate. Tom, man, the hot take king. You defending your Eagles against my boys and their Cowboys who love them. And
The 8 boys every year. It's great. Have you pulled out the VHS from the last Super Bowl you guys won, or did you blow into the cartridge? I got some updates for you guys. Actually, some news that just came out while we were on the air here. 2 things. Number 1, the Redskins. Obviously, talking about changing the name. The Cleveland Indians also reviewing their name. So, a little baseball action there, but it seems like the name changes are probably going to be coming down the pipe here pretty quick. But NFL news. The NFL Players Association, the Board of Player Representatives have voted unanimously to skip the 2020 to 2021 NFL preseason.
Oh, you scared me. I thought it's the season now.
It's preseason.
Okay. All right.
So obviously, still have to see what the NFL says to this, all the owners, all that good stuff. But players are saying, hey, let's skip the preseason. Again, we discussed this early in the show. We don't want to dwell on it here. Personally, I'm not hugely disappointed in that. I get it. Limit the travel, limit the exposure to COVID, but we'll see what happens with it. But aside from that, obviously follow us at Belly Up Football. Going to be getting into the swing of things here as the football season kind of comes around. At Belly Up Tom, I'm happy to defend these hot takes. Like Chris said, I'm on it with those hot takes, and I'll defend them. I don't think they're super out of left field. I think that there's some rationale to them, but they can be a little bit of a interesting time. But I know Chris, you've been hearing me talk about this for a while. We got a little delay on the Degenerates Madden tournament. Sadly, one of our guys in the finals was traveling, so we haven't been able to get the finals off. Looks like that should be happening Monday, but regardless, this is kind of new, but we are going to look to start the second round of that, second tournament this week. We should be looking to get that kind of organized and going. So we'll see what the exact start date is, but keep an eye out this week for that. We'll probably be trying to get some people on board for that and get some scheduling done.
For sure. I know some of my friends have been talking to you about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit us up at Belly Up Football or at Belly Up Gaming. Get in touch if you guys want to be involved with that. Like I said, this week we should be kind of getting that organized and start getting that set up.
I want to just touch on 2 things real quick. Well, I guess one big thing, and then I'll break down into the 2 things. To end the show, man, we've always been talking about how appreciative we are for everyone who follows us, who retweets us, who comments with us, who just engages with us, and lets us engage with them. The fantasy community is so awesome. We took suit after the Scott Fish Bowl for donating to a charity, and it's big right now. I mean, for us, this is our first year doing it, and we're already at a third of the way done with our signups and our donations. So that's crazy cool for us. But I want to thank some other people who are doing these, who are doing this as well, but from across the pond that we're kind of helping out, and they're helping us as well. They've signed up for ours. We've signed up for theirs, as Nate has mentioned, in the Ryder Bowl. The Ryder Bowl and the Warrior Bowl. The Ryder Bowl is going to be so cool. It's, like Nate said, a dynasty league that handles Americans and Europeans, much like the Ryder Cup if you're a golf fan. They've got divisions for the Europeans. They've got divisions for the Americans. And at the end of it, the Americans and the Europeans go head-to-head. Hopefully, one of us at Belly Up will be an ambassador for the American team. I know Ryan is in the Phil Mickelson division. Nate and Billy are in the the Arnold Palmer division.
Arnold Palmer.
I went with my heritage #half-boy Ty, #Tiger Woods. Hopefully I take that division. My division has also been the only division that's already had a trade happen, so that's pretty crazy pre-draft. But thank you to Matt and Luke of the Ryder Bowl who have shown us how to run a huge league and kind of had the workings for our own St. Jude Belly Up Bowl. And then now the Ryder Bowl. This thing is huge. We're talking about the guys from 5 Yard Rush. We're talking about our guys from Belly Up. A 240-man gauntlet. We have a 120-man gauntlet. They want to go a little bit bigger at 240. Let's go, Warrior Bowl. An American will win. We are one of their sponsors on their websites. I'm dropping them a big shout out because I know that one of our guys is going to take it down. It's either going to be me or Ryan. I don't care. One of us are going to take it down. So we'll see y'all in December. But also, guys, I want to thank one more time Dave Wright, FF Spaceman, who has put Scott Fishbowl Potathon together, who we are also a sponsor of, as y'all have heard. It's going to be late at night, but that's okay because we'll replay it because I love it, man. And next week it's going to be huge. Real quick, I do want to thank Billy and Nate for joining us this week. Belly Up Fantasy has a huge team, guys. Please join us. If you think you can, just join us and we'll see what we can do. But thank you guys for joining us when we had to have some input players. You know, we had to pivot. Dan had some stuff to do. Zach had some stuff to do. Houston's got family in town right now, so he couldn't be a big part of it. He definitely hosted it and helped us out, but he couldn't engage with us as much as we wanted him to because he gives us the knowledge as well. But you guys have definitely helped us out, and we will have y'all back for sure because now we can have 10 people on here. Let's have the whole Belly Up Fantasy crew on. Let's talk everything, right? Because what else we got to talk about right now until football season happens?
Exactly.
You wait for that 3-hour show.
I mean, if they want to do 24 hours, let's do 48. We could probably do it.
72, who cares?
That's all.
Yeah.
But thank you again to Dave, FF Spaceman. I want to say next week is going to be awesome because we're going to do something totally different. We're done with our divisions. So we'll probably go into more of something that's in line with every one of our guys where they want to talk about their own kinds of guys, who they're drafting, things like that. But it's going to be a huge show next week because we had a cancellation, but then also a redraft, or not redraft, but a rebooking. Will Bryanson will be with us finally next week of CBS Sports. Super nice guy. He just had his dates confused. His wife runs his planner, so it's not a big deal. He's text messaged me. He's cool. He's just shooting some fireworks this week. And then also, unrelated to fantasy football, but if you are a Texas Aggie or you like reality TV, we're going to have Cliff Hogg, Texas A&M alum, who is also part of Big Brother last year, will be with us talking about some Houston Texans, talking about some fantasy football. And then obviously, what is it like being on reality TV? So here at Belly Up Fantasy Lab, we do it all. We're going to give you your fantasy sports, and we might even give you a little bit of celebrity action here and there. So thank you, everybody who's following us. Thank you, everyone who's gave us comments. Thank you, everyone who has followed us from the beginning. Y'all have a great night. Have a great 4th of July weekend, and we'll see you next week.